I want to take a few minutes to talk about TI, or the Tenant Improvement Allowance. So there are lots of important pieces of information to know about TI. There are other videos for that. We've got a lot of information on it, but I want to talk specifically about sort of the cash flow and budgetary implications of the TI, because it's really important to know kind of right off the bat when it comes to like figuring out how you're going to pay for everything. Now, not all deals have TI as part of it. Some might be very small and some might be quite large. So depending on where you are, you can evaluate how relevant this is for you. But the most important thing to know about a tenant improvement allowance, right? And this is money that the landlord is giving to you to assist you in your build out. The most important thing to know is that the money is really paid as a reimbursement to you. You are going to be responsible for fronting most, if not all, of the costs of construction before you are repaid by the landlord. So that's really important to consider, because when you're looking at your budget and you're looking at your capital budget, let's say, for example, your total build out budget is $400,000 and you are receiving $200,000 from your landlord. Well, that's awesome. That's a great deal. Your landlord's going to be paying for half your build out, but the landlord's not just going to write you a check for $200,000 when you sign the lease. You're going to have to pay your contractor and show that they've been paid before the landlord's going to pay you back. So there are lots of ways that TI allowances and repayments can work. You will elucidate this in your lease agreement. But a really common way that this happens is that the landlord will pay half of your TI at 50% completion of your build out, and the other 50% when you are open for business and the work is done, or 50, 40, 10. There are lots of different ways to do it, but typically you're going to get some of it at about halfway and the rest of it like when you're done. And in order to get the money from the landlord, you're going to have to provide documentation that not only like a certain amount of work has been completed in the space, but that also the contractors and subcontractors have been paid. So when you ask for the money from the landlord, you have to basically make an application for it, where you'll have documents, paperwork, signed off by your contractor that's like, yep, I've been paid for this. Go ahead and pay back the tenant, pay you back for the money that they've spent. So the reason I mention this is because it's not just like texting your landlord saying like, hey, I'm going to send you a Venmo request for $200,000. No, it's like it's a very formal process where you're requesting money, and then the time it takes for you to get that TI check back to you really just depends on the bureaucracy of your landlord, right? It can take a couple weeks to a couple months to get that money back. Now, this is information that you're going to want to know. You can put language in your lease about like sort of what that repayment time looks like, but the point to know is that it's not like you get paid back immediately, and you're certainly not going to get the money before you've paid your contractors. Now, in case you're new to commercial construction, the way typically that contractors are going to bill is that they will bill in installments. They will ask for a certain percentage up front to get the job going, and it can be 20 or 30%, which can be pretty sizable if you're looking at a $400,000 construction contract or more. So you will have to put money up front to get the job going, and then they're going to be sending you installment bills during the process. Typically it can be like monthly, saying this is the work that happened this month and this is how much you owe us for it. So you have to pay their bills, and then at a certain point you will apply to the landlord to get reimbursed for either the first half or at the end for all of it. So it's just really important to know that the TI is a reimbursement. It is not something that comes super quickly, so you want to make sure you understand exactly what you have to provide to get paid back, so that you're keeping records of that and you're keeping track of the information. And then also you understand that you're going to need to front, most, if not all of the money before you see anything back from the landlord. So just keep that in mind when you're figuring out your overall, financial plans for getting your business open and your capital budget.